man sits alone in a room, the blue light of a screen illuminating his face. He is surrounded by millions of faces, a digital amphitheater of possibility, yet he feels utterly, existentially alone. His thumb moves in a relentless hypnotic pattern. Swipe, reject, swipe, dismiss, swipe, pause, swipe, reject. He is not hunting for companionship. He is performing a bizarre, exhausting ritual of self-validation and simultaneous self-destruction. He believes he is looking for love or connection, or at least a momentary distraction, but what he is truly doing is standing at the precipice of his own psychological abyss. And then, one day, the performance stops. His hand hovers over the small, colorful icon that represents 1,000 failed conversations and 24 hollow promises. His fingers tremble slightly, not from weakness, but from the unbearable weight of sudden, devastating clarity, and he deletes the app. Why would this simple modern act, the uninstallation of a piece of software, be accompanied by such profound, almost religious physical tension? Why the trembling hands? Carl Jung, the visionary architect of the unconscious mind, never logged onto a dating app, yet he diagnosed the illness that they inflict a century before their creation. Jung understood that the modern man, desperate for external affirmation, is constantly trying to construct and maintain a facade, what he called the persona. The dating app is the ultimate, highly specialized, hyper-efficient factory for constructing, testing, and violently shattering the male persona. When we look at the dating marketplace, we see it as a vast ocean of choices, but Jung would see it as a wasteland of curated egos. Every photo is a deliberate lie. Every bio is a carefully edited press release. The man presents himself not as he is, but as he desperately wants to be perceived. The adventurous traveler, the successful professional, the emotionally available yet completely independent figure. This is the persona in full bloom, a psychological armor crafted to gain acceptance. But here is the foundational problem. The first reason the hand trembles. The persona is not the self. It is a necessary function for social life, but it is fundamentally hollow when used as the basis for intimacy. A man pours his energy into crafting this digital avatar, but the reality is, he hates the avatar. He hates the need to appear like this idealized version, and the exhaustive effort required to maintain the lie is draining his soul. The moment he matches with someone, the game escalates. He must now inhabit the persona he created. Every text message becomes a script. Every date is a performance review. He is not showing up as a man. He is showing up as a brand ambassador for an identity that doesn't actually exist. And the recipient of this performance, the woman on the other side, is doing the exact same thing, presenting her own perfectly manicured persona. The result is not connection, but two masks staring blankly at each other, desperately trying to find the human being behind the veneer, and failing spectacularly. This exhaustion is what Jung called the inflation of the ego through the persona. The man becomes so identified with the mask that he loses touch with his authentic self, the deep, messy, vulnerable reality of his existence. The trembling hand over the delete button is the body's physical reaction to the soul screaming for release from this perpetual state of psychological warfare. It is the cost of constantly living a lie that the entire world is encouraging him to maintain. Now, as we begin this deep dive into the psychology of modern connection, tell me, where are you right now, watching this confrontation with the digital self? Tell me the city that hosts your own current battle for authenticity. The second, even more corrosive layer that Jung identifies is the confrontation with the shadow. If the persona is everything we want the world to see, the shadow is everything we repress, deny, and judge, the dark twin of the ego. In the normal course of life, we encounter our shadow in dreams or sudden bursts of anger. But the dating app is a high-speed projection machine that brings the shadow roaring to the surface. Think about the endless swiping. It is not merely a selection process, it is a judgment machine. The man, sitting in judgment of hundreds of profiles, is projecting his own insecurities and unmet needs onto the external world. When he scornfully dismisses a profile, he is often scornfully dismissing a part of himself he has denied. Perhaps the desire for stability he labels as boring, or the artistic sensitivity he deems unmanly. But the shadow truly strikes when the man faces rejection. The digital rejection is rapid, brutal, and impersonal. He spends hours crafting the perfect opening line, only to be met with silence or worse, immediate ghosting. This is not just a failure of communication, it is a direct blow to the persona he has so carefully built. The digital marketplace is telling him, over and over, that his curated persona, his best effort at being worthy, is insufficient. When the persona is wounded, the shadow reacts. The man doesn't feel disappointment. He feels rage, inadequacy, and intense bitterness. He starts to rationalize his failures by demonizing the women on the app, labeling them as shallow, vain, or demanding. This external judgment, this cynicism, is the raw, toxic output of his unintegrated shadow. He is experiencing psychological projection on a massive scale. He is not seeing flawed human beings. He is seeing external representations of his own internal lack. He enters the app hoping for light, but the app shines a merciless light on his darkest, most unresolved psychological material. He came to find love. He found his own deep self-contempt, masked by aggressive judgment of others. The tremor in his hands is the recognition of this toxicity, the fear that if he continues this pursuit, his shadow will fully consume the remaining authentic parts of his soul. The third crucial Jungian concept that leads to this existential crisis is the anima. The anima is the inner feminine component of the male psyche. It is the gateway to emotionality, intuition, and the soul. For a man, the search for a partner is, at its deepest level, the search for the external projection of his own unintegrated anima. He is looking for the woman who embodies the qualities he lacks or fears within himself. In the digital world, this projection is instant and overwhelming. The profiles he is drawn to are not just people, they are vessels for his fantasy. He projects the entire weight of his need for meaning, his desire for intimacy, and his longing for completion onto a few square inches of glass. The women on the screen carry the impossible burden of his soul's expectations. This leads to two devastating outcomes. First, when he meets the woman, she inevitably fails to live up to the impossible projection. She is human, flawed, and real. The man experiences a crushing disappointment, not in her, but in the sudden, brutal withdrawal of his own fantasy. He discards her, not because she is bad, but because she is real, and the real cannot house the perfect, idealized anima. Second, the constant cycle of projection and withdrawal leaves the man psychologically bankrupt. He keeps throwing his anima out into the digital void, only to have it returned, tarnished by reality. He begins to realize subconsciously that the object of his search is not outside but deeply, painfully within him. He is seeking his own soul in the eyes of a stranger, and the stranger cannot give it to him. This realization, that the source of meaning is internal, and that he has been seeking it externally through a manufactured, performance-driven marketplace, is the ultimate psychological turning point. The trembling hands are the tremor of a soul waking up from a long collective delusion. The dating app, designed for efficiency, inadvertently becomes the ultimate barrier to genuine individuation. Individuation, for Jung, is the lifelong process of becoming a whole authentic self, integrating the persona and the shadow, and acknowledging the anima. It requires stillness, introspection, and a painful confrontation with one's own reality. The dating app demands the exact opposite. It demands constant motion, swiping, constant superficial projection, persona, and constant external validation. It traps the modern man in a cycle of immediate gratification and chronic meaninglessness. He is always looking forward to the next match, the next message, the next date, which postpones the necessary brutal work of looking inward. He becomes addicted to the possibility, which is far less terrifying than the reality of his own interior landscape. When he finally reaches that moment of deletion, the trembling is the fear of silence. It is the fear of the void that the app was perfectly designed to fill. Deleting the app is not a practical decision about dating strategy. It is a desperate, existential pivot. It is the ego admitting defeat to the persona, and the self demanding that the work, the real, hard, agonizing work of becoming whole, must begin. He is not just disconnecting from a platform, he is disconnecting from a pervasive collective fantasy of external salvation. He is choosing to step out of the crowd and into the terrifying, lonely path of individuation. And that choice, that profound act of psychological withdrawal, shakes the very foundations of his constructed identity, causing the hands to tremble. We are watching a man, exhausted by the performance, haunted by his projections and crushed by the demands of the digital marketplace, choose authenticity over appearance. He realizes that the vast ocean of potential partners was only ever a reflection of his own internal chaos. The true connection he seeks is not in a match, but in the integration of his fractured self. And the only way to begin that journey is to eliminate the tool that forced the performance. He deletes the app, not because he's given up on love, but because he has finally decided to begin the real search, the search within. This psychological insight fundamentally changes how we view modern masculinity and its struggle for meaning. The journey we discuss here, the choice between the convenience of the mask and the terror of the self, is the most critical decision a man makes in the 21st century. We know this feeling is real, this exhaustion from performing a self you despise. You understand the pain of the mask breaking and the relief of finally seeing the reality. We acknowledge this necessary internal shift by commenting with this phrase right now: the search ends inside. This confirmation solidifies your commitment to authenticity. And because we delve into these deep psychological truths that reveal the real mechanics of power and identity, you must join this community. Hit that subscribe button right now, affirming that you prioritize genuine insight over superficial noise. Give this video a like, sealing the deal that deep transformation is your priority. Next, we move further into the shadows. We are going to explore the devastating psychological cost of this performance, the specific ways the persona creates neurosis, and the moment a man finally confronts his anima face to face. This next part is the revelation of the hidden mechanisms. You absolutely cannot miss this continuation of the deep truth. Stay tuned. The trembling in the man's hands is not caused by the fear of missing out, nor by the exhaustion of endless scrolling, nor even by the sting of rejection. That tremor is the physical manifestation of a far deeper geological shift occurring in the psychic landscape. It is the ego, accustomed to the comforting, brightly lit world of digital fantasy, suddenly realizing it is about to step onto the treacherous, dark terrain of the authentic self. He is not deleting an application, he is dissolving a persona, and the ego is terrified of the nakedness that follows. The app was a high-resolution, perfectly curated shield, an externalized fortress against his own inadequacy. Deleting it means he must now face the reality that the deficiency was never in the marketplace of potential partners, but in the commodity being marketed, himself. This is the central catastrophe that Carl Jung observed in the modern search for connection, amplified exponentially by the architecture of the dating application. The app requires him to create a persona, a meticulously constructed mask designed not for intimacy, but for optimization. He is forced into the role of a digital marketer, selling a packaged version of his identity that emphasizes surface traits, the gym photos, the successful job title, the witty bio, all the while excluding the inconvenient, contradictory, and deeply human aspects of his true character. This creation of the optimized self, the ultimate persona, is psychologically devastating because it trains the user to prioritize appearance over substance, connection with an image over connection with a soul. The man is not looking for a partner. He is looking for validation of his own successful digital marketing campaign. But here is where the fatigue sets in, the heavy weariness that precedes the trembling hand. The persona, by its very nature, is exhausting to maintain. It is a performance demanding constant energy, an act of emotional vigilantism against the possibility of being seen as he truly is. Every message sent, every date endured, is a desperate attempt to keep the mask tightly affixed. He engages in conversations not as himself, but as the idealized projection of himself. He cannot relax. He cannot be vulnerable. He cannot show doubt, because vulnerability is the kryptonite of the carefully constructed persona. The consequence is a profound internal split. The man who is swiping is fundamentally different from the man who exists in silence. And the woman on the other side, often doing the exact same thing, is connecting with a ghost, a simulacrum of confidence, not with the real, flawed, yearning human being. This realization is universal, but the pain is personal. It is the recognition that the digital promise of endless connectivity has led to an unprecedented level of individual isolation. Tell me, where are you confronting this truth right now? Drop the name of your city below. As the dense fog of the digital relationship market begins to lift, the man is left grappling with the terrifying Jungian concept of the shadow. The shadow is everything the ego rejects about itself: the insecurities, the shameful thoughts, the failures, the primal urges. When he is swiping, he is projecting this shadow material outward. Every person he dismisses with a quick left swipe, every profile he judges harshly for superficial flaws, is a reflection of the qualities he refuses to acknowledge within himself. The apps allow him to endlessly externalize his inner conflict. He can say, "The problem is the superficiality of other people," or "The problem is the dating pool." He avoids the painful confrontation that the problem resides in his own refusal to integrate his darker, unacknowledged self. When the finger hovers over the delete button, the man is making an unconscious decision to withdraw those projections. He is shutting down the external mirror, and suddenly, all that repressed shadow material floods back into his consciousness. The shame he felt after that bad date, the fear of inadequacy he hid behind his aggressive messaging, the deep loneliness he masked with perpetual optimism, it all returns. The trembling hand is holding a device that, once deleted, forces him to look inward, confronting the monstrous things he has refused to see. This is why the act of deletion is so agonizing. It is the moment he chooses accountability over avoidance, and the ego perceives accountability as psychological death. Furthermore, the dating app environment is the ultimate breeding ground for the Puer Aeternus, the archetype of the eternal boy. Jung and his students, particularly Marie-Louise von Franz, detailed the Puer Aeternus as a man who remains unconsciously tied to the realm of potential, forever avoiding commitment, grounded reality, and the necessary suffering of genuine life. The apps provide the perfect technological extension of this complex. Why commit to one imperfect, real woman when the phone holds the promise of 10,000 theoretically perfect ones? The Puer Aeternus is not afraid of relationship. He is afraid of limitation. Every swipe to the left represents a refusal to accept the limits of reality, and every new match is the fleeting injection of pure potential. He is addicted not to connection, but to the anticipation of connection, the high derived from believing that the next profile holds the key to effortless fulfillment. This illusion of limitless potential paralyzes his capacity for sustained effort. He is perpetually waiting for the ideal partner, the mythical soulmate who will magically complete him and require no compromise or hard work. The relationship process becomes a triage, a quick assessment to confirm that the other person is not immediately perfect, followed by immediate disengagement and a return to the marketplace. The trembling hands are a sign that the poor is exhausted from the constant chase of potential, yet terrified of the weight of choosing reality. This psychological dynamic is further complicated by the search for the anima, Jung's term for the unconscious feminine aspect within the male psyche. Every man carries an internal image of the ideal woman, an internal constellation based on his own mother, culture, and crucially, his own unintegrated feminine qualities, such as emotional receptivity, creativity, and tenderness. In the absence of conscious integration, he projects this internal ideal onto external women. The dating apps provide an assembly line for this projection. He swipes, looking for the woman who perfectly embodies his anima, the muse, the gentle confidant, the powerful goddess, the woman who will make him feel whole. The initial rush of infatuation on the apps is often just the exhilarating feeling of a successful projection landing on a suitable vessel. But because the woman he meets is a real, flawed human being, she inevitably fails to live up to the projected fantasy. She is too messy, too demanding, too human. The man doesn't see her. He sees the cracks in his own projection. This shattering of the anima projection is deeply painful and leads to rapid disillusionment and ghosting. He retreats, convinced that the right person just isn't out there, when in fact, the right person, the integrated anima, is in here, waiting to be reclaimed from the unconscious. Deleting the app is an involuntary step towards integration, forcing him to recognize that the pursuit of the external goddess was merely a diversion from the internal work of cultivating his own soul. The trembling is the shock of realization. The treasure he sought in the external world was buried beneath his own floorboards. The psychological weight of the dating app experience, therefore, is not simply loneliness. It is the corrosive effect of enforced superficiality and continuous projection. It trains men to be emotionally disposable, to view human connection as a resource to be consumed and discarded, and to perceive women as either successful vessels for the anima projection or immediate failures. It encourages a hyper-masculine focus on results and efficiency, turning the delicate, chaotic dance of courtship into an impersonal, quantifiable system. When he finally decides to delete the app, the decision is rarely rational. It is instinctual. It is the deep, forgotten self asserting its need for reality. The trembling hands are performing an act of spiritual self-preservation. The man is choosing the pain of authentic confrontation over the comfort of digital delusion. He is choosing to step out of the crowd, out of the market, and into the terrifying silence of his own being. What awaits him in that silence is the possibility of true individuation, the Jungian process of becoming a unified, whole individual. But this process is not pleasant. It requires separating from the collective, the dating culture, confronting the shadow, his flaws, and integrating the anima, his sensitivity. It requires turning off the noise of endless possibility and listening to the single quiet voice of destiny. The apps offered him a shortcut to connection. The deletion offers him the long, arduous, and necessary path to self-knowledge. He realizes, with sudden terrifying clarity, that the relationship he truly needed to cultivate was not with a potential partner, but with his own soul. And the moment he chooses that path, the trembling begins, because he is not deleting the app. He is starting a war with his own unconscious resistance. He is leaving the shallow digital pond and heading toward the deep, turbulent ocean of the self. The next layer of this psychological dilemma involves the collective unconscious. The modern man, immersed in the app culture, is participating in a ritual of collective performance. He is not just hiding his shadow. He is reinforcing a societal agreement that vulnerability is weakness, that emotional needs are burdens, and that success is measured by the quality of his external presentation. When he deletes the app, he is committing an act of rebellion against the collective social contract of digital performance. He is choosing to be the eccentric, the outlier, the one who refuses to play the game according to the established, yet fundamentally alienating rules. The sheer volume of digital profiles fosters a catastrophic lack of reverence for the individual. If there are always more options, then no single person can hold genuine value. This devaluation of the other mirrors his own self-devaluation, the subtle, creeping feeling that if he is so easily replaceable by the next profile, his own essence must be worthless. The dating app ecosystem feeds this cycle of perceived disposability. The trembling is the soul's desperate plea to regain its intrinsic value, to stop being a line item in an endless digital catalog. We recognize the immense courage required to step away from the crowd and choose the difficult path of self-discovery. The time for self-deception is over. This journey into the self, fueled by the realization that the apps only reflected the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be, is the most crucial step a man can take. It is the beginning of the journey away from the marketplace and toward true integration. The question now is not who you are looking for, but what truth you discovered in the silence. We want to know. Finish this sentence in the comments right now. Eu deletei o app porque I deleted the app because. Share your truth and join this vital conversation. This is where the real connection begins. You know this journey is worth the effort. Do not let this wisdom fade. Affirm your commitment to genuine strength by subscribing and tapping that like button. We are building a community of men dedicated to depth, competence, and authenticity. And you must know this: the confrontation with the shadow and the integration of the anima is just the midpoint. The path to individuation continues. In the next and final part, we dive into the ultimate conclusion of this existential crisis, revealing the necessary sacrifice that finally stops the trembling hands and leads to enduring peace. Do not miss it. The final insight changes everything you think you know about strength and relationship. Be prepared for the ending that will redefine your perspective on modern masculinity. A tela se apagou. O perfil se desfez no éter digital, não com estouro de alívio, mas com sussurro de terror. O homem que acaba de apertar o botão de deletar o aplicativo de namoro não sente a alegria da libertação, ele sente o frio cortante do vácuo. Suas mãos não estão apenas tremendo pelo ato final da desistência, mas sim pela compreensão repentina de que ele acabou de demolir não o portal para o amor, mas a última fortaleza que o protegia da necessidade de confrontar a si mesmo. Este é o clímax da jornada, o ponto em que a psicologia profunda de Carl Jung encontra a realidade brutal da vida moderna. O homem finalmente entende que ele não estava procurando por uma pessoa. Ele estava buscando um labirinto infinito de opções para evitar o único caminho real. Antes de nos aprofundarmos completamente no vazio arquetípico que este homem acaba de criar, eu quero saber onde esta poderosa realização está te alcançando. Diga-me o nome da cidade de onde você está assistindo isso agora mesmo. O tremor nas mãos é o efeito físico de uma crise espiritual, a reverberação da alma no momento em que ela rompe com a grande ilusão. Por meses, talvez anos, esse homem viveu no paradoxo da escolha infinita, uma paisagem mítica onde cada deslizar para a direita prometia a integração de sua sombra e a projeção perfeita de sua ânima. Ele não precisava ser forte, porque havia sempre a próxima candidata. Ele não precisava ser vulnerável, porque o design do aplicativo permitia que ele permanecesse a 2 milímetros de profundidade. Ele não precisava encarar seu próprio vazio, porque a notificação de nova mensagem preenchia esse vazio momentaneamente. Mas Jung nos ensinou que a vida não tolera o adiamento eterno. A natureza inteira se move em direção à totalidade, em direção à individuação. O aplicativo era uma câmara de isolamento que impedia essa totalidade. Era o lugar onde ele podia terceirizar a busca pelo seu self. A dor insuportável que o levou a deletar o aplicativo não era a dor da rejeição externa, mas a dor interna da estagnação da alma. Ele percebeu no fundo do seu ser que o jogo não estava funcionando porque ele não estava jogando de verdade. Ele estava apenas colecionando possibilidades. O verdadeiro terror começa no momento da exclusão. Quando o ícone some da tela, a miragem do potencial eterno desmorona. O homem agora se depara com a realidade crua. Se ele quer um relacionamento significativo, ele deve construí-lo a partir de sua própria substância. Ele não pode mais esperar que o mundo digital forneça a peça que falta. Ele deve se tornar a peça que falta. Esta é a hora da mais profunda autoconfrontação, a hora em que o homem precisa perguntar: o que eu estava realmente procurando lá fora? A resposta, de uma perspectiva junguiana, é sempre a mesma: o eu completo. O deslizar incessante para a direita era a manifestação externa de uma busca interior pela ânima, o princípio feminino inconsciente em sua psique. Ele estava projetando sua necessidade de totalidade, de alma e de conexão emocional em milhares de avatares. O desespero da exclusão é o reconhecimento de que a projeção falhou. Nenhuma mulher no aplicativo pode preencher o buraco deixado pela sua própria ânima negligenciada. Este é o momento de clímax e de máxima coragem. O homem com as mãos trêmulas não está desistindo do amor. Ele está desistindo da fantasia do amor. Ele está dando o primeiro passo, muitas vezes o mais assustador, na estrada da individuação. A estrada que Jung descreveu como a única vida que vale a pena ser vivida. E essa estrada exige que ele pegue de volta todas as projeções que ele espalhou pela internet e as integre em seu próprio ser. O que significa integrar a ânima? Significa enfrentar a própria vulnerabilidade, desenvolver a capacidade de sentir sem racionalizar e aprender a se relacionar com o mundo, não apenas através da lógica, logos, mas através da conexão, eros. O aplicativo permitia que o homem permanecesse no modo logos, transacional, eficiente, superficial. A exclusão força-o a entrar no reino de eros, o reino da bagunça, da imprevisibilidade e, crucialmente, da realidade. E a realidade é a maior ameaça para o homem moderno. Por que temos tanto medo do relacionamento real? Porque o relacionamento real é o crisol onde a persona, a máscara social que usamos, é queimada. O aplicativo permitia que ele curasse e mantivesse sua persona perfeitamente. Forte, interessante, sempre disponível, mas nunca comprometido. Mas a intimidade profunda exige que a persona caia. Jung sabia que o verdadeiro encontro amoroso é um encontro de sombras. Você não se apaixona pela persona da outra pessoa. Você se apaixona pela maneira como ela espelha e desafia sua própria sombra. O aplicativo tornava fácil evitar essa confrontação. Bastava dar unmatch na pessoa que começava a tocar em sua insegurança. Na vida real, você não pode simplesmente deletar a pessoa que te confronta. O homem treme porque, ao deletar o aplicativo, ele está assinando um contrato consigo mesmo para buscar o confronto real. Ele está concordando em ser visto, em ser conhecido e em se permitir ser vulnerável ao ferimento profundo que só a intimidade verdadeira pode infligir. E esse é o risco fundamental que ele estava fugindo. A maioria dos homens prefere viver em uma ilusão confortável de potencial do que na dor da verdade da realidade. A coragem de deletar vem de um esgotamento moral. O homem se cansa de ser um ator em sua própria vida amorosa. Ele se cansa da sensação oca de ganhar o jogo digital e perder a vida real. Ele se cansa da dissonância cognitiva entre o que ele sabe que é real e a satisfação fugaz que as notificações oferecem. A exclusão é a recusa final em aceitar a mediocridade do superficial. É o grito silencioso de sua alma dizendo: eu prefiro a solidão significativa à falsa conexão exaustiva. A lição final que Jung nos oferece neste momento de exclusão é sobre responsabilidade. O homem que deleta o aplicativo com as mãos trêmulas está, finalmente, assumindo total responsabilidade pelo seu destino psicológico. Ele para de culpar o algoritmo, o mercado de namoro ou a superficialidade das mulheres. Ele aceita que o problema não era o aplicativo, mas o uso que ele fazia dele como uma ferramenta de fuga do self. Ao parar de buscar a outra metade, ele começa a buscar a totalidade dentro de si. Este é o início do trabalho de Hércules do mundo moderno, a reconstrução interna. O que acontece a seguir não é um encontro mágico com a parceira perfeita. O que acontece é um período de silêncio, de introspecção e muitas vezes de solidão real. Ele deve agora aprender a se relacionar com sua ânima de forma direta, não através de terceiros. Ele deve aprender a cuidar de sua própria alma, a honrar seus próprios sentimentos, a dar vazão à sua criatividade e à sua profundidade emocional. Quando este trabalho interno começa, o mundo exterior se transforma. Ele não está mais desesperado. Ele não está mais projetando. Quando ele finalmente encontrar uma mulher no mundo real, talvez no café, no trabalho, em uma atividade que ele ama porque a solidão o forçou a encontrar hobbies reais, ele a verá com novos olhos. Ele a verá como ela realmente é, e não como o receptáculo de sua fantasia. Essa distinção é o divisor de águas da maturidade psicológica. O homem imaturo busca a mulher que o completará. O homem em processo de individuação busca a mulher que o refletirá e o desafiará a ser mais completo. Ele busca uma parceira para a jornada, não uma solução para seus problemas. A exclusão do aplicativo é o portal de volta para o sagrado. O sagrado, na visão junguiana, é onde encontramos a totalidade, onde o inconsciente e o consciente se encontram. O mundo digital do namoro, com sua infinitude profana e seu foco na aparência superficial, é o reino do profano. Ao sair, o homem escolhe reintroduzir a dimensão da alma, da profundidade e do significado em sua busca por amor. O ato de deletar o aplicativo não é um momento de fraqueza, mas o ápice da força. É o momento em que o homem troca o conforto da ilusão pela dor da verdade. Ele aceita que a única maneira de encontrar um amor real é arriscar ser totalmente real. Ele abraça a incerteza da vida, onde o resultado não é garantido e onde o processo é o teste. O que as mãos trêmulas realmente estão sentindo é o peso da liberdade recém-adquirida. Ele está livre para ser vulnerável, livre para falhar, livre para ser visto em sua imperfeição e ainda assim ser amado. Esse é o caminho que Jung nos mostrou, o caminho para se tornar inteiro. E a totalidade é a única base a partir da qual um relacionamento verdadeiro pode ser construído. O jogo acabou, e a vida real, a vida que realmente importa, acabou de começar. Aquele delete foi o grito de guerra da alma. O que nós acabamos de mergulhar é a verdade profunda sobre a busca por significado na era digital, e a decisão de quebrar esse ciclo de superficialidade exige uma coragem que está além da nossa compreensão imediata. Você dedicou este tempo para entender a si mesmo em um nível arquetípico. E isso exige reconhecimento. Eu afirmo que a partir de agora, a sua busca por significado se torna mais profunda. Eu quero que você internalize o que você acabou de aprender e traga a prova do seu compromisso para os comentários. Escreva a seguinte frase para cimentar essa decisão em sua psique e para se conectar com a comunidade de pessoas que priorizam a profundidade. Eu escolho o confronto real. Este conhecimento vale a pena ser compartilhado e nutrido. Eu te garanto que ao se inscrever neste canal, você se junta a um círculo de indivíduos que não têm medo de encarar as verdades desconfortáveis sobre a psicologia humana. Sua inscrição garante sua permanência neste caminho de autodescoberta. Deixe seu like para que o algoritmo entenda a necessidade dessa mensagem e a entregue para mais mentes, buscando a totalidade junguiana. E lembre-se, a jornada de compreensão do inconsciente está apenas começando. Sua mente está agora calibrada para um novo nível de profundidade. No nosso próximo encontro, vamos desvendar por que certas obsessões parecem impossíveis de quebrar e o que a psicologia arquetípica nos diz sobre a mecânica da fixação. Prepare-se, porque o próximo tema revelará a face mais sutil do nosso labirinto interno. Você está pronto para ir mais fundo.